The morning show here on Arise News. Well, it's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited Group Executive Director Kayode Komolafe. Good morning, Mr. KK. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning,
Newspaper review this early Sunday morning.
Good morning, Good morning, Laila.
All right.
It's an early edition, isn't it?
Yes.
Of the newspaper review.
It should be like this.
It should.
Yeah, it should. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll go straight into it, KK. We'll start, as always, with the newspaper of record this day on Sunday, and we'll take it from top to bottom. The window story says NDIC, strongly capitalized banks will support attainment of $1 trillion economy. And the rider, Tinubu's quest for 1 trillion economy bold, achievable, says UBA. And under that, the stripe story is on COVID-19, and this one says new COVID-19 variant, XAC emerges in Europe, US. That's another variant of COVID-19 there. A lot of people have been talking of, unusual kind of malaria and stuff. It looks like XCC might be what people, excuse me, will be dealing with, with some care, moving forward. And under the masthead, Tinubu charges military to engage Nigeria's adversaries with gallantry, sophistication, says Nigeria remains giant of Africa. I think that it is important for the president to emphasize that aspect, the military might aspect of, what makes you a giant. Even when I think Bloomberg and a few other people were saying that you may no longer be the biggest economy in Africa. It looks like South Africa, Egypt, and Algeria might have overtaken you. But here is President Tinubu saying that we're still the giant of Africa. And the lead story is on the rivers of trouble, Rivers State. And it says, Rivers crisis, Wike mocks Fubura's camp for joining APP. Ijos and Rivers, those are the riders. Ijos and Rivers, Honor FCT Minister. Fintiri seeks reconciliation between Wike, Fubara. And the cover picture is also very telling, but this time around on the Edo election. A thank you visit, it says, that's the caption there, showing the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Governor himself, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, flanked by the governor-elect of Edo State, Monday, Okpebolo, and his running mate, the deputy governor-elect, Dennis Idahosa in Lagos, who came to say thank you to Governor Sanwo-Olu, who was on ground last week, Saturday, during the Edo State election, which, of course, Monday, Okpebolo won. And the key thing that Governor of Lagos State said was that you never walk alone. Is that the Liverpool? Or yeah. Is that the Liverpool tagline? Exactly. You never walk alone, he tells him. So that's a sense of camaraderie there between two APC governors, one governor and the other one governor-elect. Those are the stories, KK.
Let us take the public health story. That is something that is potentially is a thing that could become a public health emergency, and of course, because of its global reach, that you may be having another pandemic, in the making. But maybe first a clarification, a microbiological clarification about the headline. What is discovered is not COVID-19. COVID-19 is a disease, caused by a virus, a particular form of coronavirus. So what we are talking about here is because of another form of coronavirus, which could lead to another COVID. There may not be COVID-19, depending on the classification by WHO. So we are talking of a virus. And this virus is being discovered in about 27 countries, including France and the United States. It's experts, are looking at it that it's actually a combination of two hybrids, of the virus, and that it could become dominant, in the next few months. Now, what does it mean in our own context? Is that the authorities, in charge of public health, should be on alert, and we should be, better prepared now than we were prepared for the emergence of the last variety. The last variant of coronavirus that caused COVID-19. So for whatever it is going to happen in this sense, there should be preparation. And the most important thing now is to sensitize people, that is towards prevention, all those precautions, again, that it will be done, given the trajectory of, the spreading of COVID-19, that the consequences, will be borderless, and that we might not, like Steve is saying, we may not be say for sure if already you don't have that particular variant of coronavirus here in Nigeria. Yeah.
It's interesting because even when COVID-19 happened, we handled the outbreak here in Nigeria better than most countries around the world actually did. And what's become clearer and clearer as time has gone on is that coronavirus is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to continue evolving. We're just going to keep getting new mutations and new mutations. So it's important that everyone is on alert all the time. And this is interesting to see because a lot of people recently have been saying that they have COVID again. So that there's another slight outbreak of COVID happening. And it's possibly this new variant that has just been discovered.
Fantastic. Do you want to take another story? Oh,
yes, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you that we handle it, better.
Yeah.
At least I can say Nigeria handled it better than the United States on that front. Who are by far better, in handling and some other countries. Now, but the aspect I think we should be worried about is this, saying that coronavirus has come to stay with us, because that could lead to complacency, Because the reality of it is that the coronavirus, the virus, that caused COVID-19 was not the first coronavirus. Before then, more than 15, variants, had been discovered, been put. So it was 2019 was not the first time you had coronavirus. It has only been there. So I'm saying that there should be no complacency that because it's that we'll live with it. It was as if in 2019, authorities, had said, because we had about 15 variants of the virus over the years, that nothing should be done. But then we had the pandemic, So I agree with you, that we did better. But this time around, we should be more prepared so as to be able to minimize, the damage. The other story, which I think we should take is the window story, a financial story, The chairman of NDIC, Mr. Bello Hassan, having a very optimistic outlook, for the financial sector. That if you have highly capitalized banks, that will be very supportive of the ambition of the Tinubu administration to build a $1 trillion economy, talking about the size of economy, which Steve mentioned earlier, I think it is not impossible, that the projection is quite, it's quite realistic, and it could be achieved, especially where we have the experience of the capitalization of banks under the administration of President Obasanjo, when Professor Charles Soludo was the CBN governor, the success, recorded at that period, the evidence is there, that the banks have become more viable. So if this time around, we have the move to further, strengthen the financial sector by capitalizing the banks, I think is in order, and I think all the stakeholders in the sector, should embrace, and work towards it, especially in that we have already, something to learn from the experience of the previous capitalization, which happened, about 15 years ago. And I think it's now well documented by a senior financial journalist, Ray Shebri, in his book, which he called The Power of One Man. How the Soludo led central bank, was able to transform, the finance sector of the economy. Yeah.
That's Ray Shebri.
Ray Shebri, yeah.
All right. Should we move quickly to this day style?
Yeah, absolutely. There's all the stories you want to discuss on this day. We'll take this day style now. The cover picture. This day style is celebrating Dupe Olushola as a leader in hospitality and philanthropy. Dupe Olushola is a successful leader with over 25 years of experience in various sectors. She's known for her expertise in agri, banking, finance, and corporate market economics. She is the current managing director, CEO of Transcorp Hotels PLC, which owns the Transcorp Hilton Abuja and the online booking platform Aura by Transcorp Hotels. I mean, Dupe is certainly a powerhouse. I mean, I have encountered her. She is absolutely a delight. I mean, only over the weekend, during on the sidelines of the ONGA, UBA celebrated its 40-year presence in America and also marked their 75-year anniversary. And obviously, Dupe, right here, must have been in the lead organizing all of those social events. Congratulations to her. I believe our viewers should pick this day style to read up on her phenomenal achievements.
Great. All right, KK, there are at least two leading newspapers today who led with the story of the story about the October 1st protest. Punch, in his banner headline, says October 1 protest will hold at Eagle Square. Organizers tell police. And the riders, protesters not afraid of police, say Showore, Adeyanju. And the other one says IG orders police deployment from Monday. Of course, Nigeria will be 64 on Tuesday. Sunday Vanguard, on the other hand, says October 1, drums of nationwide protest beats again. And the rider, we have written IGP, protesters' lawyer, government may be more vicious this time, but no going back. Those are at least two of the newspapers leading with the protest story. But if we take a few other stories from those two so that you can take those two key papers together. On the window for Vanguard is talking about Edo poll. We're going to be having former Edo State Governor shortly, Adams Oshiomhole. And the story is saying Edo poll, observers release damning reports how they manipulated results during collation. And then Sanwo-Olu tells Governor-elect Okpebholo, you will not walk alone, which we already had discussed. And then a few other stories on the cover of Punch. Buhari said tackle CBN over printing of 35 trillion naira. I believe that they are talking about the ways and means that created so much trouble during the 8 years of Buhari. And then another story on the cover of Punch, elderly Nigerians take on grueling work amid children's neglect. It looks like, things are
too... That's not so nice, is it?
It's not nice at all.
It's not nice at all. It's not. It really isn't.
It's not nice at all. But I mean, let's take those ones, KK, so that maybe we can have one more paper after Punch and Vanguard.
Okay, the
protest?
Yes, the
elderly story.
The protest, like you said, at least two national dailies, the Vanguard and the Punch, and I think others to mention the story on their front pages.
Yes.
Now, I think a point of clarification again first. I think we should look at there's something positive in the whole thing, and that is that, which is not often emphasized, and that is that there's already a consensus. And that consensus is more or less, acknowledging, a constitutional reality that the right to protest is constitutional. Both the people as well as the Nigerian state, have agreed on that. The president himself in his last statement, agreed and the same thing with the pronouncements of the security agencies, especially the police and the rest. So I'm saying that the right to protest is not in question. I mean that is not. But what perhaps is in dispute now is how the protest should take place. And that is very important. It is very important in that context, to look at the sociology of protest, in Nigeria, especially at this time, and given the social climate, given the socio-economic climate, and what we have now, both the state as well as the organizers of protests have responsibility to ensure that a constitutional right, a legitimate activity, does not degenerate into anarchy. It should be assumed that, just as the state does not want an anarchy, the organizers of the protest, also do not want anarchy. But the tactical steps, that they should take, realizing their strategic objective of making their views known, which is the purpose of the protest, that is not damaging in the process. Because if you have anarchy, nobody will benefit from it. Neither the state nor the organizers of protest, and more importantly, even the people, at large that you have it. So now that you still have a few days before the date set, for the protest, it is important for the organizers of the protest to have an engagement with the security agencies, especially the police, to agree, on the modalities, such that if you have a protest, that it does not degenerate into anarchy. Because
the organizers say that the police has been informed that they will use Eagle Square, but the police, on the other hand, is saying that we may be more vicious this time around, which maybe speaks to what you are saying, that maybe they should agree on modalities. But then how do you agree on modalities if...
I'm afraid you are not right. The police never said they will be more vicious. Okay. Rather, it's critics, protesters who are accusing the police that the police might, that is trying to warn the protesters, the organizers, that the police will be more vicious. The police could not have said that they'll be vicious. They'll be vicious. We're not in a jungle.
So thanks for the correction.
Exactly. The Nigerian people pay the police. It's the police of Nigerian people. They cannot be vicious on citizens who are exercising their legitimate right. What I'm saying is that it is good.
There was some viciousness during the last protest, by the way.
But even during the last protest, I believe that the police did come out to say that they're going to handle the protesters more with heavy-handedness because of their disrespect for what they had asked, that they shouldn't be at the Eagle Square. We saw them being tear-gassed. We saw protesters, being injured during the last protest. So it does appear that the police and, this conversation between the protesters and the police, there's some sort of disconnect there, whereby the police would always go out there to tear gas these protesters without, the actual conversation being held.
Yes. The solution to any problem you have with engagement is more, the solution to any, what you call dispute, in terms of the interaction between the organizers of the protest and the police, the solution to that is more engagement, That That's is from both sides. They should engage more so that before October 1, there will be a sort of agreement between the police and the organizers of the protest on how to go about it. For instance, there is nothing that says that the protest must take place in the Eagle Square or any particular venue. Yes, just as the organizers have the right to say, this is the venue we want to choose, the security people also have a duty to weigh to assess the security situation and see whether that particular venue will be good. So maybe alternatives could be provided, and the police then will perform its role, which is, and that is protecting the protesters.
They need to protect.
So for the police to be able to protect the protesters, there has to be a dialogue, an agreement, between the police and the protesters, and how they go about it, So I'm saying that, there's still room for engagement, and there should be more engagement in the next few days.
Let's take one more newspaper,
Let's take one more paper on the newspaper review today. Well, let's go to the Tribune, actually. The main headline on the Tribune today, Constitution Review, agitation for regional government tears senators apart. It is either Nigerian Federation or nothing. Regional government will help harness resources, says Buhari. You can't discard existing constitution, Bamidele, and we should allow people to decide. A few other stories on the Tribune today. Right at the top, Nigeria loses half of its agricultural produce after harvest, reports the FAO. And also, it was Obasanjo that sacked me as governor, not Adedubu and not Akala, Ladoja reveals. Quite a few stories there on the Tribune today. Over to you, Mr. KK.
Okay, maybe before I come to the debate on the regional thing, just to say quickly that not a few persons, will agree with former Oyo State Governor, Ladoja, that it was Obasanjo that removed him. But that is, for us, that is a subject that is eminently suitable for historians, of the future,
Who has the power to remove a sitting governor?
Yes, it's a continuation of a political disagreement. Yeah, the debate, on what should on the structure, the nature and the structure of the Nigerian Federation, it continues and it's a very healthy debate. The point is just that we should not make it a perennial debate because this has been long. Now, but it should and it should be conducted in a very healthy manner, like the reports in some of the papers today have shown. Apart from the Tribune, you have other papers too who have the report of that the activities of the Senate Committee on the review of the Constitution. Why I'm saying that it should be conducted in a better way is that it should not become a matter of the North, versus the South, because you have multiplicity of views, about what to do with the Nigerian Federation, but it's not good that even at the stage of debate, that the matter should become should polarize the country, into the North, versus the South. I think both sides of the argument, they have their merits. Yeah.
Fantastic. Mr. Komolafe, would like to, as always, thank you very much for joining us on the newspaper review, and I hope to see you next Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.